Welcome to Turn a Page, the official comic book club for Nerd Initiative. Each week, the NI Bullpen will be covering the world of comics, talking to creators, deep diving into some fantastic stories, and much more. Now let's hand it over to the team and turn a page.
And what is going on, everyone? It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you are tuned into Nerd Initiative YouTube and streaming services for another edition, and actually a very, very special edition of Turn a Page, the comic book club on Nerd Initiative. What's going on, everyone? Ken M. here, the host of the ODPH podcast, and I'm also Nerd Initiative's comics editor-in-chief. Not with me in studio is our pop culture connoisseur, Tom, but trust me, he won't leave the show without making his mark tonight. But fear not, our other co-hosts are here. You know them as the dynamic duo Drafts and Dialogue, bringing you the pop culture knowledge you need each and every week. It's Matt and Lauren from Hops Geeks News. Guys, what's going on?
What's up? We're going to MegaCon, baby. It's better than Disney because it's next to Disney, and you can do both.
That's very ambitious and very excited.
That's a bold statement, but that is very true because this week Hurricane Hops Geeks is hitting Florida because the dynamic duo of Drafts and Dialogue, like I just mentioned, are going to be at MegaCon Orlando February 1st through the 4th. So first and foremost, guys, congratulations. There are a lot of big things going on. What makes this con so special? We'll start with Lauren.
Well, for me, this con has a special place in my heart because it's in my hometown, and it's the first con I ever went to was MegaCon. So this has become kind of a tradition for me, but what makes it extra special this year is Matt is actually coming down. So the only con we've been together is Fan X, so I'm very excited to do MegaCon. So MegaCon is going to be very different for me this year because, well, I had a panel last year. Him and I will be hosting our first panel together.
Let's go.
Again, with it being a hometown event, my daughter's working it, my mom's going to be there. One of my friends has a hospitality company that staffed a bunch of it. So it's a very, very fun, family friendly, everybody's involved kind of event.
That's awesome. And I mean, Matt, this is your first time going. I mean, let's talk about your feelings about this. I mean, it's MegaCon, it's Florida. What's the vibe?
Funny enough, I did go to this con back in 2016. Lauren and I were at the con at the same time, but we didn't know each other then, funny enough. And so it's kind of come full circle because I lived in Florida for a brief time and I drove with my friend. We drove 7 hours from, the panhandle of Florida where I was living and went there for a fun time. And I didn't really know anything about Comic Cons at the time. So this one is special because it's kind of like one of the first cons I ever actually attended that got me kind of into it. And now we're there and we're not hosting one, but we're hosting 2 panels. We are supposedly meeting up with a very big comic book company that might be on somebody's sweatshirt here. We're hosting our very first in-person meetup as a podcast that has a lot of people, going. And, Lauren and I, for the 4 years that we've been doing this, we've only, met up together a handful of times. So this one is special because it's kind of the first time we're getting to do episode podcast stuff together, because we always talk about how we're going to do podcasts together. Never happens because just life, and we get excited about just families hanging out. So this one's more of a business trip for the most part. We're going to work hard, we're going to play hard.
Yeah,
no, absolutely.
I'm a lot of coffee.
Well, I was going to say, because I mean, is going to a con, and especially this is more or less the kickoff of con season for 2024. To go down there, I mean, especially, how would you describe the experience if anybody hasn't been to a con before, Lauren?
So we've actually had some people come in because I did a 5 must bring things to MegaCon, and we've had a couple people be like, "Oh, thanks. Any more tips? I'm very nervous. This is my first con." One thing I will say, the people watching is amazing, as evidenced by this picture. You get some absolute amazing cosplay. These are not people that were working the event. These were people that were attending the event. But it's so interesting because it's hard to describe. I mean, it's like a business conference, like Matt said, but there's just so much to do. You can walk through the main floor every single day and still find things you didn't see before. And there's always something to do and somebody to listen to. This picture here you see with the DeLorean, that was a fundraiser. I paid $20 to take the picture, and it went to Michael J. Fox's Foundation for Parkinson's. The picture before that, a bunch of those were volunteers for the 501 First. If you're not familiar with that, that is another nonprofit that does some amazing stuff. all they ask is they have a bin out there. If you can put some cash in there, put some cash in there. If you can't, no problem. But they always have an amazing setup to walk around. It's just so fun. It's just as crowded as Disney as well, but it almost has that Disney element just without rides because there's so much to see and do.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, Matt, talk to me. When you say Comic-Con, you see convention, like what is the thought going through your head?
Man, I mean, this one is I will easily say that this is probably one of the bigger ones. If you're not talking about San Diego, you're not talking about New York. This one right here is probably like the premier Comic-Con in America. They've moved it early and earlier. It used to actually not even be till May. Last year was like April, end of March. Now it's in February, which is a beautiful time to be in Florida. Especially if you're me, I don't deal with heat. So now's a good time to go because kids are in school, number one. Number two, it's 70 degrees. That's perfect, right? You're not walking around. But what's so special about this too is there's so many fandoms that have now become represented at Comic Cons that it's just fun, man. You get to see something for everybody, down to like even the smallest fandom. You may think that you're one of the only people that care about this particular thing, and then it turns out you're not. Like I can go and get Legos, for example, like in this picture here. We always like Legos are kind of like a calling thing for Lauren and I. We always get like Legos, which I have some for her at the con I went to in October. I never sent because I'm a fool. But like we always send like minifigures to each other from cons we go to. But like you said, there's really good things like the 501st sets up fundraising things and it goes to charity. And then the DeLorean, for example, and then there's panels like for this year, for example, some of the panels and guests that are there, it's just absolutely unreal. Our good friend of Hobbs Geek News, man, I'm going to say it every time, Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson. We got to interview them at FanX Salt Lake City, so they are now forever good friends of the show. But like for example, they're there, or they're not there this year, but the Mallrats crew will be there. There's just something for everybody, and that's what makes Comic-Con special. It's a safe place. And then aside from that, man, Orlando's going to be busy this weekend. We got the Pro Bowl, we got Olympic trials, we got MegaCon. It's just like this convergence that I think we're going to see like this crossover of fandoms that is just going to be so cool and special to see.
So be prepared for MCO. Anybody flying in or out of Orlando,
I'm screwed Monday morning. I got to get there I might as well sleep there overnight Sunday.
I'll just drop you off Sunday night.
Yeah. Well, that's the one thing is the anticipation to go. And then when you finally get there, let's talk about it. You guys are going to be having such a big event going on, all starting Thursday. Like if anybody's going to this event, what is the first thing that they should try hitting up on the Thursday, the 1st?
Artist Alley, hands down, Artist Alley, because obviously Thursday is not it. This con is special because it's 4 days. Saturday is always the busiest day, so the first day you should get there. I think the first thing you need to do is Artist Alley because you're gonna get guys like Ben Percy seen here. You're gonna get
such a cool dude. He was so awesome. It was $5 for a signature and a picture. $5.
And that's the beautiful thing about it because you're gonna be seeing like, oh man, like Hayden Christensen, he cost $300 to get a picture with him. No, dude, go down Artist Alley. Some of your favorite comic book artists, writers, letterers, they're all there. They want to talk to you. And Thursday is the perfect time to do it because you can actually have one-on-one conversations with them at this point because it's not overly busy.
Yeah, I think this Thursday is going to be a little bit busier than in the past just because the Back to the Future panel will be doing their whole panel on that evening. So obviously that's a big get, especially with, the age of Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox and whatnot. But the Artist Alley often gets overlooked. That comic book creator area gets overlooked. And so many people don't realize like the person that created your favorite MCU character is on this alley. There are a few people like the Adam Kubert line last year I waited in that line for quite a while. But outside of that, for the most part, a lot of them are walk up. I'm sure Ghost Machine's probably going to be one that's a little more crowded, but a lot of them also are there all 4 days.
Yeah.
And if you see something you really want on Thursday, don't expect it to be there the next day. So you should probably just buy it.
I would say like Roosevelt's, for example, everybody knows that's no secret. It's my favorite shirts. They're going to be there. They always have a booth that's right next to the beer garden. They release a new shirt every day of the con. And a lot of people are going solely just to get a shirt from them. So I would say to anybody watching there that loves their shirts, get there, and because their stuff's going to sell out too. And like Lauren said, man, if you see something, I would recommend buying it that first day. If you do see something, don't wait on it. Don't be like, if it's still here, Sunday, I'm gonna buy it because man, it's not gonna be there probably. And then also like you're supporting some really, really cool people, like not just like big time creators, but there's a lot of like indie creators that show up there, and this is where they cut their teeth too on the circuit.
Yeah. I mean, even buying things, skip the big one with the overpriced t-shirts. Go to that little
Oh
mom
yeah,
and pop stuff because there's some amazing homemade Clerks merchandise and Marvel stuff and Disney stuff. And obviously being in Orlando, you do see a lot of Disney stuff. And some of them also you get, like I've bought many a Mickey or Minnie Mouse ears because you get them pretty discounted. So keep your eyes peeled for those kind of things as well. Definitely an increase in Disney stuff. I hosted the Disney trivia last year and I walked in and the whole room was dressed in Disney costumes. And I was like, "Oh, what did I get myself into?" But it was fun.
But that's such a fun vibe though to go down there too, and especially the first day of the con is always usually go get the feel of the building, the venue, what's going on there. And I fully agree with you. Artist Alley is one of the best places to go for all the conventions because there you get to meet obviously some of your favorite creators. You never know who's going to be down there that you might just happen to bump into. And I also just always recommend go find an indie creator at the time because you never know like who that's going to be and where they could blow up. Because like for me, one personal testimonial, I had heard about a certain creator from podcast, Cheers to Comics podcast. Shout out Brian Wayne. And when I heard this creator who had been on a show a couple times, I happened to just bump into him when he was down at a table and went up and got a book from him called The OZ. And lo and behold, that turned out to be one David Pepos.
yes,
Wow.
So
yes.
I met David before. Obviously, he blew up and went to Marvel, and now he's doing such amazing things. And obviously, he's got a great book, a few great books coming out over the next couple of weeks too. You definitely should check that out. But that's just one of the moments. Like you go down and you start meeting some indie creators, and when they're really passionate about what they're talking about, and you really can make that one-on-one connection. I mean, there's few things when you go as a fan and have that admiration, and you can go connect with. Like it's just amazing to see.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
100%, man. And they're so willing to talk to you too. That's what a lot of people don't realize is like, and David is one of the nicest human beings on earth.
Oh
I
my
got to
God. He has
talk
Oh,
to
such a
him
absolutely.
sweetheart.
like last year at Emerald City Comic Con. He just he's such a sweetheart. Unfortunately, he won't be there, but there are so many other creators. And it's cool because you get to see people that get their start. And it like Ken said, he met David Pepose, and then now look at him. He's doing cool things. So for example, there's a really cool comic book called The Turned. It's like a sci-fi zombie comic that's indie. They're out of Virginia Beach. I ran into them at the Richmond Horror Con in October, and they also make their own tea. They make their own coffee, all of that kind of stuff. Really good. Like I checked out their comic book. I had some of their tea and coffee, and they're going to be at MegaCon as well, coming from Virginia Beach. And if somebody like that, it's a I forget her name, but her and her younger brother are both. He does the art, she does the writing. It's a zombie style, so zombies, like who doesn't love a good zombie book? And then yeah, like if you want some coffee, they sell coffee grounds that are like all on the package. It's zombie, the different like designs on the coffee grounds, and then different designs on the tea bags, and all their stuff was fantastic. So you get to meet some people like that and support some really cool creators that are just super passionate about what it is they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the best thing, especially when you can celebrate the fandoms and there's so many going on all over the place too, especially the panels going on. I mean, let's talk a little bit about what we should be expecting down there with the panels on Thursday.
Oh man, yeah. So I land at 3 o'clock, and then Lauren and I head straight to the con to get our passes because at 6 o'clock or 6:15 in room W250A, we are going to be doing a Nightmare on Winchester Street. So Lauren, in the entire existence of this podcast, is and has always been a Supernatural fan. Me, I was always like, who, Supernatural, making fun of her.
Hey, I didn't get into it till 2016, so I was a late bloomer too.
Fair, you're
I
right.
just
And
fell right in love.
you
Yeah.
did, and it took me until last year to finally be like, you know what? I'm gonna watch it, and next thing you know, here I am, season 10. I'm working my way through. Of course, I'm not as fast going through it, but making my way through. And so now we're doing a panel, and Lauren, I'll let you go ahead and tell everybody what the panel is going to be about.
So Matt actually came up with this idea to discuss how Sam and Dean would handle being in our favorite horror movies. And I think this came about because
Ooh.
Matt is a huge horror fan, and I started to get in. We've basically, the things that each other weren't really into, we've gotten each other into. So he agreed to watch Supernatural because I watched Clone Wars and Rebels, which I loved. And then he's like, okay, I'll give Supernatural a chance. And his wife had been watching it for years too. When we went to FanX, his wife and I went to like a Supernatural panel, just us. And so it's kind of nice because she's rewatching it with him, which is really cool as well. And Matt would then text me. He'd be watching a horror movie and be like, well, if Sam and Dean were here, this movie would have ended in 5 minutes. I'm like, I know, that's how I watch everything now. But there are certain situations where that wouldn't happen. So we actually, him and I were going back and forth discussing them. And we intend on that being kind of like a panel of going back and forth with the audience. But mixed in there, I also have some trivia, and I did get some mini pies as prizes, and I have some Supernatural stickers. And some fun stuff to give out, as well as candy for the trivia and the discussion. So I anticipate that anybody who's coming to the Supernatural pan is going to be a huge Supernatural geek, and that the conversation will probably just start going and just kind of take it from there. But we got some great scenarios played out. For example, one of the movies we talked about is Jason. So Jason goes to hell. So is he a demon now? Can you kill him with the demon blade? Can you trap him with a devil trap bullet? Like, these are things that, we want to discuss.
Yeah, we it's something that's always on my mind because I'll text Lauren after something happens and I'm like, come on, man, this would have ended in like 3 seconds. And then obviously you got a 40-minute show. Come on. So I figured it was like the best of two of our fandoms to go in there. And then it's basically like a live podcast episode too, which is even more fun with audience participation. And so that kicks off. That's like, man, that kicks off the day. And from there, I'm going to leave that panel a little bit early because I got to run right upstairs to room W311E because we are going to be hosting the Hive Mind, Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's if you don't know who they are, they're two of arguably the hottest writers in comic books right now.
They're so funny.
Yeah,
like every comic I read of that the two of them did, like, I'm giggling throughout it. Even if it's serious, it's still funny.
Yeah, like we were very, very much like blessed to have them on our show, and we instantly all hit it off together. Jackson's into like craft beer big time, all of that kind of stuff. And so that I found out they were going, and I was just happened to be like, oh shoot, we interviewed them, sent our interview off, and now they're like, yeah, sure, you can host this panel. One of those things that, like, kids, shoot your shot. It's always going to be a no unless you ask, right? And even if you ask and they say no, so what? But they've done Star Trek, which is one of IDW's hottest selling books. Guardians of the Galaxy, the current run there from Marvel. They're doing Outsiders. They're doing Thunderbolts from Marvel. Outsiders is DC. They're doing Batman Beyond for DC, Neo Gothic. So it's like, and then they wrapped up a Captain America run, not too long ago. So like, and then they also have like a new comic book coming out from an upstarting creator-owned, creator-focused company that we're going to talk about a little bit at the panel as well. And so they're doing a lot of really good things, and we get to kind of just facilitate that discussion, talk with them about that. And a lot of comic book fans in that room get to kind of just see the cool things that they're doing and get to chance to talk to their heroes, if their inspiration, if you will.
And how crazy is that moment too? I mean, obviously being big fans of their work, and trust me, if you're not reading a book by the Hive Mind, really make a point to do it. Outsiders, I think, is vastly slept on right now for just the creative take they're doing there. But just as fans going in and having that moment where you're now talking with them on stage and really, living that fan dream. Because, I mean, who doesn't want to go on stage and talk to your favorite celebrity or, favorite creator and just have that one-on-one interaction? And then, let alone, you're leading the conversation with, however many people are in the room. Like, I mean, Lauren, how's the feeling going into this?
Well, I wasn't nervous before, but now I am. No, it's a little surreal. And like, we had such a great time talking with them. And, like Matt mentioned, Jackson's big into beer as well. And his wife was like in the room and he started talking, like, she's more into beer, and he like gave us her Untapped handle, which is a app that you can check in your beers and rate beers and whatnot that we're both on. So it was just so fun. And I'm really looking forward to kind of talking with them after the panel as well. But I think what's really cool though about these panels and talking with these people, it's surreal in the sense of like all these comics I have, their names are on. And like, that is such a cool thing because it's also these characters you fell in love with, on whether you fell in love with them on the big screen or 20 plus years ago in a panel. They're creating these, but they got into this work because they used to just be fans.
Right.
So that's what always makes it so cool, because they're not judging you for geeking out, because they're the same way we are in that regard. So I'm really looking forward to that. And we've met so many cool people virtually. It's just so nice when you can actually meet them in person. And Matt's met them in person, or at least you've met Jackson in person.
Yeah, Jackson last year at ECCC, and nicest, and that's actually how we got connected to have him on the show. But like such a nice, and something that's like rare in comic books, I feel like too, is they're like best friends and they get to write comic books together. Like how many people get to work with their best friend, right? A lot of these comic book writers and stuff, like they do like a book kind of solo, and sometimes you team up, but every single thing that they do, it's like they're there as a team. And I feel like that is just so special in comic books, because to me it's like they're always going to have a fresh idea, because there's two of them, man. Like two minds are better than one. And that's not a knock towards anybody out there doing their thing. Like I just think what they have too is just special, like to have that person in your life to kind of just have that bounce their minds off of each other and things like that. And the fact that they're called the hive mind and they just have so much fun doing it. I think that just is what makes me so much more into it.
And I think with them being close, it's easier to be like, okay, well, that's a stupid idea. Or, hey, don't forget about this. That's not consistent.
Yeah.
So and you could see them playing off of each other when they came on the podcast. Like, they clearly get along well. And again, the Outsiders, that one scene where they're in like, with all the Batman, and he's like, do you want to go to the trauma room with the pearls? I died laughing.
Yeah.
Like, they're hilarious.
They throw in at
a
least
serious story.
Yeah, no, they always throw in one-liner in each book that like I literally have to catch myself laughing about, because I'm just like, oh my, like did they just really go there? And it's one of the great things that they do when they're in their writing, and too is, and just to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, you can definitely tell like they're friends and their synergy when they come together with an idea. And like I've sat in a couple panels with them at New York Comic Con, and like you can definitely tell like they're friends, this is genuine, and just like they're on the same wavelength, and just how like their creative process goes. And especially you saw in the pages like Captain America, now in Thunderbolts, with the amazing artwork of Geraldo Borges, is just completely taken an easy concept and just raised it a couple different levels. And that's just kudos to them about that. And then I mean, that's your Thursday alone, let alone we got
that's day one.
Days.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's 3 more days. So Matt, Friday, what is standing out to you? What's the game plan going on?
Yeah, so Friday we're gonna hit up MegaCon. There's some panels we want to hit up. Some like I said, this kind of a business trip. So there's some panels on like, hey, how to grow the YouTube. Friday's really a networking day for us. We want to get out there. We want to go through Artist Alley. We want to spread the Nerd Initiative, the Hops Geek News word. We want to talk to some of these creators. We're bringing comic books to sign, because at the end of the day, we're fans, man. We're bringing some of our favorite comic books to have signed by people. That we're just really gonna go out there and network for a bit, and then we are going to go to Epcot afterwards, and we're going to blow off some steam there and enjoy, because Lauren goes all the time, but I don't get to go, right? So our hope is that we're going to get to ride Guardians of the Galaxy, that ride. And then we're going to attend the Roosevelt's meetup that's going on at Epcot. They're going to be drinking around the world. We're going to go there.
Sponsor for MegaCon.
Yeah, they're one of the sponsors for MegaCon. So they're hosting like a really cool like Epcot meetup. Everybody's gonna kind of get there together, just meet new people. A lot of people that are just nerds and fans and geeks and things like that, and love their fandom. So we're gonna go and just rub elbows, talk to people, make new friends, and enjoy it at a really cool theme park, because Epcot's not a place that I've ever really get to hang out a lot, because I have kids. So for me, we spend most of the time at like Universal, or not Universal, but Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios. That's where we primarily spend our time. So it's going to be cool to get to see Epcot a little bit for my opinion. And then, it's just Lauren and I and whoever else comes and hangs out and just enjoying and kind of, bonding, right? Team bonding. We'll look at it that way.
Yeah. And what's funny right now about Epcot is this is their arts festival, which the first year they started that was 2017. Epcot constantly has festivals now, but the arts festival they have art all over the park. But what's really interesting is because they now own Marvel and Star Wars, there's a ton of absolutely gorgeous Star Wars and Marvel art that can be found everywhere. And in fact, when we were at FanX, Matt or Carrie, his wife, would point out a painting and I'd be like, oh, I saw that at Epcot. So a lot of the same artists that you're probably going to see at
Yeah.
MegaCon, you might see at Epcot as well. And they do weekends where the artists will come and then they'll sign their prints or whatever. So it's kind of funny that you just happened to be there, because there was some. I mean, I sent you that one with Obi-Wan from Clone Wars, and in his
Oh
eyes
yeah.
you can see, or no, it's Darth Maul, and in his eyes you see the Clone Wars Obi-Wan. Like, just some phenomenal Marvel. I need more walls. Like, I
Yeah.
want to buy
Same.
it all.
And again, it's also not hot out, so you can kind of enjoy it without being like angry at each other. Because the whole like
Oh,
I
see,
always
I'd
love
rather be sweating. I
the
get angry in
Disney
the cold.
everybody angry at each other because they've been walking all day and they're hot and they're tired. But there's none of that. It's just like meet up with friends, man, and chill. It's gonna be just a chill
No
time.
strollers allowed.
Yes.
Well, especially, yeah. I mean, down there, I mean, Friday, like you touched upon about networking. Like, Lauren, how important would you say that is, especially if you're trying to, really grow your audience, as a content creator?
I mean, I think it's very important, and Matt's way better at it than I am. Like, if he weren't coming down here, I would be more so. I'm just getting content. I'm not necessarily networking, but he's proven time and time again that these cons are great for that, because that's how we got Jackson and Colin Kelly on. That's how we got the Clerks on. Is like, he went up there and was like, hey, can we do an interview with you guys? And I'm thinking, there's no way that's gonna happen. And then the next day Brian's like, oh, hey, we're gonna see you guys tomorrow, and Matt told me that. I'm like, no, he didn't. So I think it's very important, because we would have never met these people, made these connections. I mean, even us being on Nerd Initiative, whether it's social media networking or in person, I think in person has a way bigger impact. And in such a digital world, it's just so nice to have that personal touch and have that face-to-face interaction. So I think it's very important, and I very much so look forward to what will come of everything we do those 4 days.
Definitely agree. Like you said, it's a digital world, right? Like what we've been doing, especially primarily here on Nerd Initiative, every Wednesday, new comic books. But it goes so much more than that. Tony's got, fandoms, and then what like Mickey's been doing with a lot of his really cool
Mhm.
videos, like the one today that he put out, Cloverfield, which is like one of my favorite monster movies. Sean with his television reviews, and just everybody that kind of comes together with Nerd Initiative there. Everybody, we may meet people down there like, oh, I read your reviews, oh, I've seen your podcast. And so it's one of those things that's really important to be like, we are actually real human beings behind this microphone, behind this screen, and you get to like just interact, man, and you're just talking about like, hey, we're all here because we love this stuff. And so it's a bonding moment. It's a chance to just meet new people, because everybody here right now, I didn't grow up with any of you. I met you all on the internet, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Like,
Hilarious.
it's so crazy that we're at this day in life when your kids, your parents be like, don't meet strangers on the internet. Now
Be in chat rooms.
the two strangers I'm with on the internet are like two people that I just love so much in life, and I get to spend time. Lauren and I, she talks about how she's like that's what makes us work, is she's more of like put videos together, get the content out there. And me, I'm just like, I'm gonna just talk away to anybody and everybody I can, and I think that's what makes us work really well.
Yeah, I would say I'm the pre-production, he's the post-production. But
it
and you're
works.
the networking guy. Yeah. I like to research. He likes to network.
But it works, though. I mean, that's the one thing, especially to an event like this, where you have so many creators coming down. Like I say, Friday is always kind of the big day. Everybody's really getting settled in for the weekend. But I mean, let's talk about Saturday. What is the big main events going on? I know there's a lot of things happening here. I mean, let's talk about it.
Oh yeah.
Well, our first thing after we have coffee is to make it to the Ghost Machine panel at 11 o'clock. So we're very excited for that. Obviously, we were with you when we got to talk to, Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok. So they're like all going. So I imagine that panel is going
The
to be...
entire crew is going to be there.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, there might be something in the works. I don't know what. Can't speak on it, but all I know is we are told to come find their table when we get to MegaCon and have a chat. So you might get to see us in some capacity. I'll tell you straight up, like if you don't know Ghost Machine, you're gonna know Ghost Machine after this weekend. If you, for some reason you missed last week's episode of Turn a Page, if for some reason you missed the Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok interview, there's no denying it at this point. We're kicking in the door. We are the Kool-Aid man. Ghost Machine is here, and we get to see the entire crew. We'll probably go live from that panel, I can imagine.
Depending on service. Service is always the best at MegaCon.
Too many people. Because Saturday,
Yeah.
a lot of people like don't realize Saturday is the busiest day of Comic-Cons just
It's
because
like
it's Saturday,
Magic
man.
Kingdom
Like
on a Saturday during a holiday.
it's
So
gonna be packed.
those are the days I recommend only doing panels and try to avoid the floor.
Yes, yes. Panels all day Saturday. Like there's some panels. I believe that
There's an Ahsoka
Ahsoka.
one.
Yep,
Yeah.
Ahsoka has a
Um,
panel. Ashley Eckstein for everybody out there. Ahsoka, she's
no,
gonna have a
Ashley
panel.
Eckstein's going to be Sunday. So I can actually, some of the ones I have listed, there's a Princess Bride panel at 10:30. It's Ezra Bridger's character. And then Diana Lee and Osanto, the two of them are going to be doing it. So it's Amon Esfandi and Diana Lee and Santo are going to be doing the Ahsoka panel. There's going to be a lot of other Star Wars people there as well. Then you're going to have Boba Fett and Fennec Shand are doing a panel together, which I love, love, love her. Melinda May, Mulan, she's awesome. And actually, Daniel Logan's going to be part of that panel too. So you're going to have young Boba as well. You're going to have any 90210 fans. You got Brenda and Brandon. They're doing something about the 30th anniversary of Lion King, which just makes me feel old. And then at 6:00, they will be having the Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen panel. We don't know if we're going to get into that, but they are doing a Wolverine 50th anniversary panel at the same time. So we may end up in that, or we may just head to Mosh Isley. We don't know, because some of these panels are so massive. We don't know if we're going to be able to get in.
They're selling tickets to you
for
can get general
seating.
for guaranteed seating. They're selling tickets for like the Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, which they opened up. I think they're doing another panel on Sunday as well, just because it's such a massive response.
I think they're just going to be sticking around too for more pictures and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's a ton more going on those days. Those are just some of the things that I highlighted. If I went over every single thing, we could just spend the whole hour just going over the schedule.
Aside from like
download the app.
Yes, download the app. That's the easiest way to pretty much find out.
Yes. And what's lovely is you can get the whole schedule, and then you can star what you want and just click my schedule, and you can have it send you notifications to your phone or your watch an hour, half an hour, or 15 minutes before. That is lovely because time disappears in those.
Yeah, you get so sidetracked from everything that's going on. And aside from like the big panels that Lauren named, there's a lot of cool, there's like cosplay meetups going on. So like there's Harry Potter cosplay meetups. There's,
there's Barbie this year too.
Yeah, Barbie's gonna have a cosplay meetup. There's trivia panels. So if you want to take a break, because some people bring their kids, like there's a lot of kids there, and then there's a lot of
specific areas if you bring your kids for kid activities too.
Yep. And then they do specific kid friendly panels as well. So if you're looking, man, because you got to feed snacks. Kids are like gremlins, right? You got to feed them. You got to give them breaks, all that kind of stuff. So like plus panels are fun because if you're walking around like shoulder to shoulder all day, it's a great opportunity to just sit down for 5 minutes and collect your thoughts. You may pop into a panel and have no interest in it when you first walk in there. You're just like, man, I need a sip of this water. I need to get off my feet. And then next thing you know, you stay for the entire panel because you're sucked in and you're like, wow, this is so cool. Like I'm learning how to draw, or this is a trivia panel, or whatever it may be. It's really cool like that. It isn't just celebrity panels. There's panels for everything and everyone that are there. And then Saturday night is a giant emo night, basically, is what it is. You know me, I'm emo kid till I die. I'm always going to be that kid that I'm sorry, mom, I can't be perfect. But that's going to be Mos Eisley. It's a Star Wars themed, and it's led by Roosevelt's again. But Nick Ganbarian of Bayside, who I got to do a podcast with once upon a time, one of my favorite bands of all time. And then Adam, the bassist from Story of the Year, going to be there. William Ryan Key from Yellow Card are there. And everyone's just pretty much going to dance and sing the night. It's basically like an after party. Yeah, I'm bringing my lightsaber, even though my wife told me not to. So when it breaks this weekend and I'm in shambles, just know that I used the credit card and I bought a new one. She doesn't know. I'm just kidding.
So you can borrow one of Logan's plastic ones. He has like 75.
But no, like it's just like a bunch of people. So you go from like this big comic event, and then now you're just like singing your heart out, singing the night away, man. It's almost storybook is what this is.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of touched upon a couple points here. I mean, you talk about the wide variety of fandoms covered. You talk anything from 90210, which I mean, I always remember how big that was back in the heyday.
Yeah.
And then you talk about the Star Wars panels where you have the actors who are playing all these iconic characters coming down, and you get to hear their insight about, the ones that you've been following for so many years. I mean, I know Super Chat, throw your picks in for like, who's your favorite Star Wars character? And then you get to sit there and hear them break down, especially like in Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, them talking about their times in the role and really getting their insight about how impactful it is for them more so than it is for us, as fans, because we've always sat there and grown up with Star Wars. A lot of us have, obviously, how big the fandom is. And to hear their stories about how that's impacted them to this level, I mean, it's truly a really great thing going on. Along with, like you touched upon, they're doing a Marvel Wolverine 50th anniversary, as crazy as that sounds. I
I know.
mean, to think about that, I mean, Lauren, I know Wolverine is your favorite character. Like, how crazy is this panel going to get?
I mean, it's got it's got 3 artists are doing it. Let me see. I know it's Frank Miller, Charles Soule, and Steve McNiven. And I mean, these are, just looking at just the pictures they put on in the panel. I mean, that Wolverine one with the claws up and he's doing the little thing with like the bluish tint in the hair. I mean, it's going to be classic. So it also says all attendees will receive one 11x17 Wolverine Frank Miller licensed foil lithograph while supplies last.
Ooh.
All right, Lauren, we're going.
Yeah.
Let's see. We're gonna be. It's so hard because every year, even and like this is different because obviously we have press and we're hosting more than one panel and then we have a to-do list. But I always feel like I don't do everything I want to do because there's so much to do, and I think our
4
hardest,
days is not enough.
right? But
Yeah.
also by Sunday is always a little rough. Like you're just exhausted. I mean, it's like going to Disney 4 days in a row.
Yeah, your feet hurt by Sunday. You're cranky because you probably stayed up till 2 a.m. singing Paramore till your lungs gave out.
See, and I've never gone to a single after. Well, I've gone to a brewery after MegaCon,
Yeah.
but I've never gone to like. I mean, I
We're
can't remember
gonna
the last time I was
be.
partying till 2 a.m. Actually, it was probably with you in Nashville.
Yeah, I think that's the last time I was partying till 2 a.m. and that was last summer, and we were hurting at the airport the next day from that.
Oh, other than
too.
Horror Nights, which Horror Nights after Horror Nights was rough.
Yeah, and so as long as Lauren doesn't lose her phone in a lift this time, we're good. But it's yeah, by Sunday you're cooked, man. So the biggest advice I can have is wear very comfortable shoes. Take breaks. Take your breaks.
Drink your
Lowered.
water.
You
Drink your water.
even if you're, you can bring. So a lot of people don't think about this too, but you can bring a bag, bring a refillable water bottle because they have water stations around, and that's way cheaper than the $15 bottle of Dasani you're going to buy at these cons.
And
Yeah,
it's a lot
so
of walking outside too. A
it
lot of people don't
is.
realize no matter where you park at MegaCon, you're gonna be walking a little bit.
Yeah, and it's very busy. There's a lot of hotels, there's a lot of conventions, so you're gonna have to
Right on
walk.
iDrive,
Yeah,
yeah.
and so by Sunday's usually like the day I like at cons. Is just I don't have any agenda on Sunday because I just want to take it all in because it's the final day
It's
for me. Yeah.
This is the most stacked I've ever seen Sunday though, and like
I'll break it down.
one of our biggest things that I'm hoping we make it to, but considering we're going to Mosh Isley, I'm not certain we will. But at
Oh, we're
10:30 on
going.
Sunday is the Clone Wars panel, where you have Ashley Eckstein and you have Matt Lantner and you have James Arnold Taylor and D. Bradley Baker. Which I mean, come on, Captain
D.
Rex.
Bradley plays every single clone in Captain Rex.
I'm upset we're not getting a panel with the 3 Bobas because
I'm just going to tell you guys right now, expect us to be live from that from a bit because I'm making sure that we're at that panel. Lauren,
That's
we're
gonna
going
be
to be
rough.
there. We get to
They're
sleep
also-
on Monday.
They're also doing a Stranger Things panel Sunday, a panel with Cameron Monaghan, which they're only advertising him from Join the Fallen Order, the video game. However, he's also an amazing actor in Shameless, and he was the
Gotham.
Joker in Gotham, and he played a hell of a Joker. I feel like his Joker is very underrated because not a lot of people watch that. You're also Alan, I never know how to say his last name, Tudyk,
Yes,
Tudyk.
Tudyk. Yep.
If you don't know him, he's a pirate in Dodgeball. He's in Doom Patrol. He's in he voices what, K2SO?
He's K2SO in Rogue One. Yep.
Resident Alien.
He's
So
pretty
many
much like your favorite character that's like an alien or a robot. He voices them essentially.
And there's also, again, Disney trivia of Marissa Tomei is going to be there that
God,
day.
I love her so much. I'm proposing.
And this panel Sunday ends. The last thing they're doing is a Tom Hiddleston panel.
Oh man,
This is the biggest MegaCon I've ever.
Honestly, like I will say, this year's guests are probably outside of like San Diego. I've never seen a guest list celebrity wise as stacked. And I want to say they even gave like some love to the comic book side of the house because you got like Frank Miller going to be there, Brian Hitch, the entire Ghost Machine crew, Jackson Collin, like we've already talked about. Ryan Stegman's going to be there as well. Who I'm going, everyone's going to hit him up for like Spider-Man and stuff and Venom. No, I'm going to Stegman for the Schlub because he played a really important role on writing the Schlub.
That's right.
And so I'm going to,
Tony S. Daniel will be there.
Yeah. Tony S. Daniel's there. Like there are a lot of really good creators that are going to be there too. And so it's just like there's something for everybody.
Jeff Loeb.
Bring your comfortable shoes, bring snacks.
Ryan Otley, Invincible.
Yep.
That's a lot.
It's going to be crazy. So the easiest way that I can just tell you guys
My
is
cat.
that you just need to make sure you have subscribed to Hops Geek News and Nerd Initiative. You're going to see us on both pages. And then most importantly, I feel like we buried the lead because Sunday at 6 p.m., we are going to be closing down MegaCon by hosting a meetup at Gatlin Hall Brewing. Everybody just come on out, bring yourselves, bring your fandoms, bring your friends, bring your family. We are going to just close down the weekend that was MegaCon by meeting some new people, meeting some friends that we haven't seen in a while, having some beers, and they've got really good food there as well. And we're just going to hang out and relax and just kind of sit there and be like, man, we did this thing.
An
We really
elevator.
Yes, get our feet up and just pat ourselves on the back a little bit.
Well, you have to think about it. I mean, obviously, 4 days at a con, especially with how busy you both are going to be down there. I mean, it's going to be a lot to take, and especially if anybody's ever gone to a con like this size, the con crud, quote unquote, the feeling of exhaustion and
Yes.
you know, coming back is going to definitely be wear and tear. But obviously, it's well worth it, especially with the star-studded lineup. So let me ask you both this question too: if with all the panels going on down there, what are your top 3 we can't miss for the weekend?
Okay. Well, obviously, first and foremost, like if we're talking comic book side of things, like you're going to be at our panel Thursday night. One of the 2 panels at the very least. If you're a Supernatural fan, you're going to be at our Supernatural panel. If you're a big fan of comic books, you're going to be at Jackson, Lansing, and Colin Kelly, and you're going to see us there. That's the number 1 can't miss panel, brother. Book it. But aside from that, in my opinion, you got to be at Ghost Machine.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't at such a bad time, I would 100% be at the Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor panel, because my all-time like favorite Star Wars movie is Revenge of the Sith. Seeing the things that Hayden Christensen went through, he left Star Wars, he came back, and just the whole Vader, and seeing those two together, man, I would probably cry at that panel. Like without a doubt, I would probably shed tears at that panel. And then, man, I don't know what the third one would be. Lauren, what are your top 3?
It's hard because usually my top ones are the celebrities. Oh, I want to get into this one. A big one for me last year was Katie Sackhoff, because Bo-Katan's in my top 5. I think her character development from being an angsty teenager on the wrong side of things to where she's come in Mando, I've loved that, and I love that she voiced her and played her. So that was a big one last year. But honestly, this year my only musts are really the Ghost Machine and with Lansing and Kelly, because they're people that I've taken an interest in personally and professionally now, and I'm very much so looking forward to it. And I've kind of learned that you can't try to do everything at MegaCon if you want to enjoy it. So outside of those personal things, I really don't have any musts. Also because Matt is a tourist down here for those few days and I live down here. I'm also kind of like, did you just like open your mouth like you didn't know you were a tourist in Orlando? But like I kind of want to do what he wants to do. So I will say though, there are some great panels on Friday in the morning. There's Rainn Wilson's going to be there from The Office. Before we leave, Kraglin, Sean Gunn's going to be there.
Speaking of Sean, Friday, you know who we're meeting with is Sean Mott from Metalcore Nerds and our TV editor.
Hey,
I totally forgot about this. Sorry, Sean. It's his birthday this weekend, and they are in Disney currently, and we have plans to meet up on Friday together. So we're going to be seeing Sean, of course,
nice.
at Epcot. I completely buried that lead.
Shout out to Sean too. He's putting a lot of work behind the scenes, and you definitely want to make sure you subscribe to Everything Nerd Initiative to see what he's got coming up, because he's got a lot of things in the works.
Oh yeah,
and definitely if you're not following Metalcore Nerds, you need to make sure you're doing that. So, I mean, let's just kind of wrap it up with the MegaCon Orlando talk, because obviously this event is going down. You can see above me right there is the QR code on screen that is take you right to the website. You'll be able to check out all the information that you need to know for it. Or if you're reading right on the screen right now, fanexpohq.com/MegaCon Orlando. And definitely make sure you download the app if you're going there, because the app will definitely help you out to plan where you need to go, so you make sure you have enough time to go see Matt and Lauren at their panels. You have enough time to go to the Ghost Machine ones. You have enough time to go get your fandoms all checked off your list and definitely have a hell of a con to write home about. And I mean, let's kind of wrap it up. I mean, what is your final statement about MegaCon Orlando 2024, starting with Lauren?
The last couple things I will say is beware parking. They now do parking prepaid, and it is a nightmare. So be prepared for that. And honestly, if you're tired, one of the best things to do at MegaCon, go to that beer line. Wicked Weed is their beer sponsor, and sit there and people watch and tell people they look awesome if they look awesome, because they put a lot of work into that and they look amazing.
Cosplay is not consent though. So do not just randomly go up and start taking pictures with people.
100%.
Don't just touch them.
Always
you gotta
ask
ask,
if we take
man, 'cause
pictures.
there are some of the coolest freaking costumes that you will ever see. People put in so like years worth of work in some of these cosplays. Man, appreciate that stuff.
So
Ask for their picture. All of that, man.
They do have signs everywhere that says cosplay is not consent. And one year there was this guy dressed as Captain America, and he straight up like kind of looked like Chris Evans, and he took a picture in front of it with the like finger, like he was doing one of those end credit scenes. It was perfect.
Side note, if you do get a picture with some of these really good people, ask them what their social media handles are, because then you can tag them on social media. And most often than not, they have a really cool page that you can check out their other cosplays.
Well, that Grogu's mom cosplayer is going to be there. She's really good.
Just overall, man, if you're going there this weekend, just have fun. Don't take it overly serious. Don't get upset.
Don't try to do everything.
Yeah, don't try to do too much. If something doesn't work out, trust me, I promise you, there is 3 more things that are going to be just as good, and you might be surprised by how much more fun you had at that thing that you did versus the thing that you wanted to do originally.
By the things that you want.
Patience. Yeah. Like, treat yourself. I live by treat yourself. Treat yourself, babies. Treat yourself.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's going to be an amazing event going on, and we can't stress enough. Make sure you're following Hops Geeks News on all their social media accounts. Make sure you're following Nerd Initiative too on all the socials as well, because they're going to be posting a lot of footage down there from MegaCon Orlando. You get some really a temp in the room about what is going to be the official kickoff for con season 2024, because this is just the start of more events happening as we progress through the months of 2024. There's a lot of big events kicking off, and like I say, MegaCon Orlando is going to be one not to miss this week. But before we get out of here, because we have to let Matt and Lauren pack up, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day.
Yes.
And like we said, Tom is not here with us in studio, but he did send his video pick in for what you should be grabbing at the local comic shops this week. So we'll just hand it over and take it away, Tom.
Recorded but direct straight from the Sanctum of Awesome. 'Tis I, off the cuff Tom, Nerd Initiative's pop culture connoisseur. That's right, this week's pick for me goes without saying. It's got to be Power Rangers Unlimited #1, which is technically #7, but I still don't understand why they name it #1. The Morphin Masters. Ryan Parrott's finally come back after his beautiful swan song at issue 100 to give us a beautiful breath of fresh air right in the middle of the darkest hour. So don't think of this as the standalone. It's kind of issue 116.5 or maybe 116.99. It's right there. It's beautifully in line. It's a really nice go-between. You go back and you're going to see some familiar faces. It's a beautiful thing. And when we come out on the end, trust me, we're going to be coming out on the end all the better for it. So I highly recommend get out to your local comic book shop, get your issue, get your variant covers, and also may the power protect you. Happy MegaCon, and cheers to the Hops Geeks News. Hope you have a great con.
We need to do more of those. That was great. Tom was fantastic. That was a cool room.
It was like surround sound.
I know. I want to see like more of people's rooms. That was awesome. Tom, I love you, man. That was great. Great video. Awesome. I'm going to go buy that comic now because I'm so amped up.
I mean, there's so many great picks this week. I mean, let's start with Lauren. What's your big pick at the comic shops this week?
So the 2 that I reviewed this week, one was Edenwood by Tony S. Daniel, who's actually going to be at MegaCon. He also does Noctera, which I have loved. That one has been super fun if you're into any kind of supernatural-esque kind of stories. You got demon hunters, you got demons, you got this witch kind of thing, but there's also politics and a dystopian future kind of thing going on. That's been a lot of fun. I'm really liking that comic, and that is from Image Comics. And this week I got to review a comic that I've been reading for, I think, 3 years now, and that's Wolverine #42. They just kicked off Sabretooth War, was issue 41. If you look at this and you're like, I'm not going to start reading this at issue 42, that's fine. Start reading it at issue 41, because this story, while it's connected to these other stories, you can enjoy standalone. So it's in this issue, it's Wolverine's birthday, and Sabretooth never forgets Wolverine's birthday, and he is acting like Sabretooth, and you get classic Wolverine going all berserker rage. And Benjamin Percy just writes a fantastic Wolverine. I know we went into depth about that not too long ago, but I love Wolverine. I love all things Wolverine. The art, oh man, the art in this one was gruesome. I had to even I'm like, I mean, this is a cartoon, and I had to look away for a second. It was so bad in one scene, but absolutely fantastic. Go back and read from issue number 1. You won't regret it. But if you just want to get like this short story with the Sabretooth War, start at issue 41.
Excellent picks. Matt, how about you?
Man, so DC released today DC Power issue number 1. And what I love is I always love when there's a collection of stories. So this has 10 different stories in there, 10 different heroes. So we get to see like Kid Flash is in it, and all just different fun tales. And what it is, and there's a foreword that's like, we don't tell enough like Black excellence, like celebrate Black excellence. And I think that's what I really loved, is we get to see characters that we don't really get to see in the forefront of DC too much. Like, it's most of the time we get to see like, you know, Wonder Woman, but in this case we get to see Queen Nubia, for example. And that's what I really loved about it. It took it back. It wasn't serious. There was no like big boss fights. It was more of like, for example, Kid Flash is playing basketball with neighborhood kids to show that he's just like them. And I think that connects to a deeper level to a lot of people out there. And then I just want to give a quick shout out, because we talked about him, is David Pepose. I read The Devil That Wears My Face issue 4. That comes out tomorrow, and from Mad Cave Studios, and Alex Cormack did the writing, or the art. I'm sorry. And this is really good. What started out as a horror comic has now devolved into like the Da Vinci Code meets The Exorcist. And it's a really good comic book. This issue I think is probably the most well drawn. Not going to obviously talk more about it. So just make sure you're picking that up, because this story is freaking good.
Yeah. No, I mean, excellent picks there too. Like, I definitely have those on my pull list as well, along with Lauren's picks too. I got a lot on my list this week. 2 that are standing out to me, starting with one of my favorite series at DC Comics right now. And this one I'm raving about, because it is just such a well done book. Alan Scott, The Green Lantern number 4, 6-issue miniseries, and definitely is telling just this amazing story of love, loss, and, you know, finding inner strength. And Tim Sheridan is on this with Cian Tormey, and just the work they've been putting in on the series is definitely just top level stuff. And if you haven't picked the series up, make sure to go out and go grab it. Go grab the variant covers too, because it all goes to a good cause. And like I say, the series has definitely been a staple of my reading. I've been doing a lot of rereads about it too. And trust me, this is one you definitely don't want to miss. And then another one that is going out, made a lot of buzz, and rightfully so, because this is coming out from Image Comics. And this has a co-writer with Kyle Higgins on this that you might know by the name of Kid Cudi. So this is the book Moon Man number 1. And this has been something that we've heard about since New York Comic Con, and the hype for this is well deserved. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I will say, top to bottom, this is definitely going to be one that stands out on the shelves each week. And the artwork in this, and Igor Monti's work especially, without spoiling anything, is just next level with this series. We were fortunate enough to talk with Michael Basiddle, the editor of the Massive Verse and other books at Image Comics. He's the editor on this one as well. Like, trust me, the hype he had about this is fully justified. And this is going to be one that is going to be a very big book talked about at the shops this week. So you definitely want to make sure you're going down to get that in your pull list as well, along with a lot of other reviews that you're going to be seeing dropping at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, because Moon Man is actually kicking off our new comic book day coverage. We do have some reviews up right now from DC Comics and Comixology Originals, who had a monster week as well too. Holy smokes, the lineup there. So if you're looking for something to pick up at the comic shops, every half hour on the half hour, starting at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Tuesday and Wednesday, nerdinitiative.com has got you covered about what you need to go with. And definitely want to shout out a new video / blog, if you will, that is done by our one and only Mickey Smith, who is doing the day after New Comic Book Day.
Yes.
You need a recap that you can talk a little bit about some spoilers. That's the place to go, and that's all on Nerd Initiative socials. You definitely want to make sure, if you're a comic book fan, you are subbed to everything that is Nerd Initiative, your home for pop culture positivity. So before we let you get on the planes and get ready for New York, or I say MegaCon Orlando, I'm so used to
One day
saying
we'll get to New York Comic Con.
that's just my Freudian slip. Matt and Lauren, why don't you tell me how to find you and everything going on with Hopsgeeks News?
Yeah, so head to Hopsgeek News on any podcasting platform, any social media platform. That's the easiest way to find us each and every week, aside from on the Nerd Initiative Squad. But this past week released a episode that was all about Supernatural season 7, episodes 11 to the finale, and then we released a quick to do at MegaCon. We just wanted to make sure people are aware that if they happen to be going to MegaCon, you can listen to that as well. Listen to this episode. But that's what we're gonna be doing, man. We'll see you Sunday at Gatlin Hall Brewing for a meetup. We'll see you Thursday at our panels. If you're not there, I will find you. Other than that, man, come say hi at MegaCon. We got stickers, we got koozies, we got high fives, we got all sorts of things, man. Come and find us. Like I'm probably gonna be like the tallest person there, so you won't be able to miss me.
No, there's gonna be people on stilts, man.
That's true.
You're not gonna
You're
be
right.
the tallest.
I'm gonna be the most handsome man. My mom told me I was handsome once, so
That's sweet.
Excellent. No, definitely. Like, if you get a chance to get down to MegaCon Orlando, make sure you catch up with Matt and Lauren. They got some Hopsgeek swag to hand out, Nerd Initiative cards as well too. Like they've got a lot going on too, especially their panels. Definitely go check it out. I wish I was in attendance to hear the Supernatural one. I'm dead serious about this because I'm gonna have to think of a great horror film to throw in there to see what Sam and Dean get out.
let us know. Let us know.
Yeah, we might have to do a special about that here on Nerd Initiative post.
Ooh, I'm in.
Post-con. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And then for me, anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. Click on those QR codes. We love QR codes here at Nerd Initiative. So you definitely want to make sure you're clicking on those, and that'll take you everything going on with me and my podcast. But I also want to plug our guy behind the scenes. We know him as the guy in the chair, Rich. Which he'll be, you know him as the host of Wrestling Night Live each and every Thursday night, Eastern Standard Time on Nerd Initiative, YouTube, and streaming. And trust us, we have a lot to talk about. The Royal Rumble fallout, CM Punk, AEW, and a whole lot more. So if you're into pro wrestling, that's the spot to go to, where we call it right down the middle. And we definitely want to engage in that positive wrestling talk because we need more positivity on the social media accounts. So that being said, on behalf of the Nerd Initiative Bullpen, definitely, if you're going to the con this week, make sure to have fun. Make sure to hit up Hopsgeeks News for everything you need to go get involved with and enjoy the con for what it is, whether it's cosplay, autographs, panels, you name it down there. Have a blast and definitely be talking about it on social media. Use some hashtags as well, too, because we definitely want to plug MegaCon Orlando for that. And then, obviously, you got to swing by a comic shop. And when you're at a comic shop, and you have a great issue in your hand, like the recommendations from the Nerd Initiative Bullpen, and you see somebody struggling to find something, hand yours off to them. Tell them to turn a page. We'll see you next week.